Greetings, YouTube. At the time of this filming, I am ill. So I am trying to rest, and I'm using that word very creatively. It entails me lying at about a 45-degree angle, being very still, and trying to extend the time periods between coughing bouts as much as possible. Sometimes I can extend them far enough, I actually fall asleep. It's kind of pleasant. But it got me thinking, kind of a meditative mode of thought. You know, that's where I am, trying to calm myself and relax and be at kind of a centered place. Now, one of the problems a lot of cults have, historically, has been their timing. Lots of them have open-ending timing, but it gets harder and harder to sell that over time. You know what I mean? Whereas the ones that have hard dates, when you pass that date, you lose more followers, you got to come up with a new date, and again, it becomes harder to sell it the next time around. So if you could come up with a dating mechanism that would allow you to have some time span, but have it predictable, have it understandable, and when you get to that time span and something hasn't happened, you have a new revelation. You find a new set of golden tablets. So my idea here, and this doesn't matter what genre you're doing this in, it could be fantasy, science fiction, contemporary, Cthulhu, doesn't matter, is that the founder of this cult, the age at which they found the cult, is the target age. It has to be just under their target age. So say the guy's 72, so you want that, you know, it took 62 years. Say he started when he was a kid. He found the golden secret or something, you know what I mean? And then he worked his way over time until it finally had the ultimate revelation, and then, you know, the gods or the universe or whatever told him to found the cult. Now, whether this is an actual cult, as in like it has actual powers or not, is completely up to you. It could be a supers game where the main cult founder is an actual person that has abilities. If it's a Cthulhu game, you probably don't want to be around this person because they have actual abilities. It's a science fiction. It could be psionics. If it's contemporary, there are no abilities. If it's fantasy, of course, it could be any variety of magic that you want. But it doesn't mean that but in all of these cases, a cult can have political and financial power. So that's where this guy comes in. So we have a system set up so that the first stage, a new member joins, and then they have to study, and they get to the first stage is at 2 years. Okay, they get the 2-year mark. They assess what's happened, and it reveals to them how far they have come. Then the next stage is 4 years later. So now they're 6 years in. And because they've become much more aware of the subtleties and the structures within themselves, even though they haven't come as far, the revelation feels as important as the first one. The third stage kicks in 8 years after that. See where I'm going? Until you get to the point where what the proper age is for the main cult founder. Now, when he has enough members who've been around long enough, and he may have passed on, but his children or cult members or however they procreate or recruit or what have you, however many are involved at this point, some of them will have been in long enough to have reached that golden age where the main founder had achieved his moment of enlightenment, his moment of Satori. So, when you get to that moment, and people are like, well, I'm not achieving it, unless of course they do, then you're golden. But if they don't, that's when they find out, this has been revealed into texts that were left behind by the original person, that the next cycle is again the same number of steps that got to them to this Satori moment, but 5 more steps. So now it's no longer an individual journey. Now it's a journey for the group itself. So all members of the group are now invested in keeping the cult alive long enough for the cult to get to that next. And if you need to do it a third cycle, you can do it a third cycle. You know, depending on where your campaign is set. You know, if it's the Warhammer 40,000K, they've been around for tens of thousands of years. If you're dealing with elves or dwarves, they could be around for tens of thousands of years. I mean, as far as their culture is concerned. So you could definitely have these wonderfully opened and yet predictable marks, so that you always got that bait on that hook just out of reach, but it's there. It isn't imaginary. They can see it, and they have all the evidence from all the stages they've already reached to reinforce themselves that the next stage is real. And so that's how you build structure into this. That's how you build reinforcement into this, so that over time the cult becomes more and more established. It becomes the orthodoxy. It stops being a cult and becomes a full-blown religion. And these are just some ideas that I'm throwing out here. I'm not necessarily going to be using them myself. I just thought I'd toss it out because, what the heck, I'm tired, I'm not at work. I might as well do something. And I thought I'd wear these because I thought they were highly appropriate to talking about a cult-like environment. They very much made me think of both Harry Potter and of the Cthulhu mythos. They're actually not mine. They're my wife's. I don't know if there's actually a prescription in these things. We bought them at a yard sale. She bought them because she wants to actually eventually have lenses put in them. I think they may be complete props because I cannot see any difference whatsoever at all in what's going on there. You're not doing anything, but maybe my eyes are just bad enough that it doesn't matter. Right? They can't compensate. But tell me, what would you do with this kind of occult structure? What genre would you use it in? Which genre do you think it is most applicable to? And I'm going to wrap this up because in a second I'm about to have another coughing fit.